Hey everyone, good morning. It's 8 o'clock on the start of your Wednesday. Glad you're with us to start the day. It's a little wet today.
Yeah, foggy,
gloomy.
dreary,
Yeah.
like a complete 180 from the past 2 days.
The last 2 days have been super, super nice. And, over the weekend, Aaron was showing us that it's going to be super, nasty come,
Snowy.
Saturday and Sunday. Look at Sunday's forecast.
Come on.
37 degrees with snow showers compared to the 51 degrees and rain showers on Saturday. So we're just going to be all over the place this week. I mean, literally from a beautiful, almost early summer day the last 2 days to, I don't know, late winter, early spring.
Fake summer,
Jeez.
cool spring, winter comes back for round 3.
Did you get out and enjoy the last 2 days at all?
No.
No?
Not really. I mean, I was working. We were here. For like a couple seconds, like taking the dog out, but not as much as I wanted to.
Yeah. Good morning to you, Danielle. Back to reality with the weather. No kidding, isn't it? Listen, a couple of things we want to dig in with you today. First of all, did you see Josh Allen at Fashion Week in Paris?
So funny. So many people are talking about this. And spoiler alert, it involves his butt cheeks. So
okay, so can we talk about this for a hot second? So he's with his girlfriend Haley Steinfeld
at Paris Fashion Week,
right? And so he's getting out of the car. And what's so funny to me is that everyone is swarming Haley, but Josh Allen is just like a dude. Yeah. He's just like a regular guy in Paris.
But the thing to do, of course, when you have a famous girlfriend at Paris Fashion Week is to hold the door for her, make sure she's okay. Or she got her own entourage, but everyone's expecting Josh Allen to, be the man, if you will. And instead, he just zooms right out of this car, like deer in headlights, runs right out. And everyone's like, why is that happening? What's going on?
What happened here? It turns out that he ripped his pants. So his tushy was hanging out.
So he zoomed out of there with like a jacket around his waist so that people didn't see his little butt.
Is that not hysterical or what? Here it is. Here's the video. He kind of just takes off.
It'll back up a little. Yeah, there's Haley. And there's Josh.
There's Josh. Woo! Quick. He has the 90s sweatshirt wrapped around his waist. Yeah. My pants ripped at dinner. Didn't want cheeks out. I love Paris. He's so funny.
The emojis are killing me.
Can you imagine? That could happen to literally anyone, but it happens to Josh Allen.
And if it happened to me, first of all, nightmare. And it would happen to me. Something like that. Right. I want to be seen and doing the whole thing. And of course, your pants rip.
Excuse me. It is okay. Do we not feel like cold and flu season is here? I just inhaled and it just went down the wrong pipe. I apologize. But my throat has been a little raspy, and I think it's all to do with the weather, allergy season. It's all here.
And also, do you rest? Or no?
No.
So here's the thing: you're up early, you're moving around, you're doing a million things.
Right.
The minute there's that crazy weather change, it's there you go.
True. My mom.
You ripped your pants?
Okay, so there was this, yes. I don't know if you guys remember this, but years ago we had a Dancing with the Stars competition for Sunil's Light Foundation. Mm-hmm. And it was to the point where I needed to go right to rehearsal after work. I didn't have a chance to change or anything. So I was wearing my work pants, my suit pants, my gray suit. And one of the moves that we had to do involved a squat. Okay. And I squat, and all you hear is the seam of my pants rip around my butt. And it is the funniest video. We'll have to go back and find it. It's somewhere out there.
Gosh.
But it was super funny. I was also at a wedding with Katie. She will remind you of this. And, I was a couple of sheets to the wind at that point, dancing my what off.
Literally.
And my pants rip. I'm pop, lock, and dropping.
Yeah.
My pants rip. And I'm like, oh my goodness, thank God it's the same color as my suit pants.
Good. That's so smart. Always wear the same color undies as your pants.
Taylor, my girl. It turns out they were bright pink.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Yeah. I'm obsessed with that. That's
so
hilarious.
Funny?
At least it wasn't at Paris Fashion Week.
Yeah, thank you, Paula. Exactly. Yep, it happened to me twice. It just means that my pants are too tight, really, is what it comes down to.
At this point, it's probably going to happen a third time with that.
Marguerite, Katie won't let you forget. No kidding.
Not
She's so
She's
funny.
She's cracking up right now.
You're supposed to cut a rug, not cut your pants, right? Only a couple.
Connie says only a couple. It'll happen again, Connie. Don't worry. I'm so sure.
Okay, so as you're waking up this morning, we want to talk about Super Tuesday.
Yeah.
Now, let me put this out there to the Cuppies. We want to hear your voice on this.
Of
We
course.
want your opinion on the political situation here, not only in Western New York, but across the country.
And if there's anything we've learned from the past couple elections, is that this is extremely divisive, right? Like
Mhm.
there's a bunch of different sides. So we don't want anyone to be battling about this or whatever, but we want to talk about it because it's becoming clearer that the option come November is going to be the same as it was last presidential election.
2020. So this morning we found out, as breaking news, literally coming into the newsroom about 6:20 this morning, that Nikki Haley is suspending her campaign for the GOP nomination today. Now, Nikki Haley is the last candidate standing on the Republican field, basically taking on Donald Trump, former President
Donald Trump can't be taken off ballots. That was Supreme Court ruled that Monday.
Mhm.
So now Donald Trump can be on the ballots and Nikki Haley's dropping out. It's all but guaranteeing that it's going to be Trump and Biden again.
So we went through Chris Christie, Vivek Ramaswamy, DeSantis. Now here we are with Haley. I mean, these were like the big names in the race. And Haley, again, basically saying that she was in it for the long haul, but today is expected to drop out. Della, oh no, not looking for the drama.
I know, but like I feel like a lot of people, I mean, you think what you think, right? You vote the way you vote, but some people obviously don't want to see Donald Trump.
Right.
Other people don't want to see Biden again. And I feel like there are a lot of people who don't want to see either.
So Karen says there could be a third option. Karen, what do you think?
Who?
Lori says, glad that Haley dropped out. Paula says, my opinion of the political status of the U.S., we are screwed, she says. Parker's Pit, I really hate politics. I mean, so what do you think? I mean, are we ready for another 2020 battle of Trump, Biden? And do you think that either one of them should be president?
I mean, when's the last time that we had something normal? You know what I mean? Someone said, I want the country to go back to normal. Are we ready for this? Do we want this? How will it go? I feel like people are just going to be checked out at this point. A lot of people saying they don't like the politics. They don't want either candidates. The candidates are old, Mary says.
Mhm.
So what do we do? People are going to, either not vote or just have to make a decision.
Julie says a better choice would be nice. But Julie, I wonder, who would you rather have? Is there a different candidate that you would prefer?
Lorianne says, isn't one of the Kennedys running for president? Yeah, RFK.
Got it. Yes. Okay. I mean, look, the reality here is that when you've got two major candidates on the major party lines, you know, a vote for an independent could take away from either candidate. So they're really trying to get you to vote one way or another.
Brittany's making me laugh. She says, is Canada taking Americans in yet?
Brittany, tell me why you feel that way. Let us know what you're thinking here.
A lot of people going with neither. Your mom saying neither candidate really kind of an option or appropriate at this point. Karen says waiting for no labels to make a decision if they will put in a new candidate.
I kind of like Darnell's point here. I really did appreciate those stimulus checks from Trump. That was during the COVID era of things when a lot of people weren't spending money, and it was all to stimulate the economy here.
Ed.
Parker's Pit.
Two different. Someone else said you.
Oh,
Paula.
Really?
Who are we putting our votes in for Ed Ranch?
Gosh, Lord help us all.
What's your campaign slogan?
Do your job.
It's got to like rhyme. Got to be catchy.
Come to the Dranch Ranch. Vote for
The
Ed
Dranch Ranch.
That was my student council slogan.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. Come to the Dranch Ranch. I love it.
You know, okay, so there were points in time in the last election where I did not think that a candidate was worthy of my vote locally. And I just wrote in Russ's name. I'm like, Russ Corigliano.
Really?
Yeah. Who
Feel
knows?
like I picked him.
Yeah,
Maybe
seriously.
somebody else will. I think that's an overwhelming feeling. And I don't know if it's generational or if everyone's feeling like this, but sometimes the options are just not what people want. And, you know, what do you do at that point? You feel like your hands are tied and maybe you want to, you know, do your civic duty and you want to go out and vote. But how do you make that decision when you don't like either option, if that's the reality for you?
Okay, so that is my question for you. And Jeff, you bring up a really good point, and I've been asking and wondering this myself. He says, like politics or not, you need to vote. This country is going in the wrong direction, he says. Okay, appreciate your opinion here. But on the other hand, my question really was, do people not vote considering who the major party candidates are likely to be?
I think this is something we should probably chat with our political analyst, Bob McCarthy, about, because I'm curious as to what he'd say. I'm far from a political analyst, but I think what happens is people won't vote. I mean, talking to a lot of my friends in the like 25 to 34 range, a lot of us are like, well, what do? We don't see ourselves represented in American politics a lot. I mean, I can't even, back in the day, I feel like there used to be so many up and comers and used to be so much talk about this senator or this governor who's coming up. But like, we haven't seen that person or that new name that pop up. And we did see some, like Vivek Ramaswamy came in.
Right.
But, everyone just kind of fell off after a couple debates.
Lauren says she's voting along party lines either way. Adrian, good morning to you, says, I think people don't vote because they don't feel any candidate is really going to be for the people. So that's my point here, right? So if you really don't like either candidate, say you are a Republican and you just can't with Donald Trump for another 4 years, or you're a Democrat and you just can't with Biden for another 4 years, are you going to switch parties and vote for the other candidate all of a sudden, or are you just not going to vote at all?
The reality is it's not like they don't have any support. Both sides have people who say, I think Biden is doing well. Some people say, I think Trump was great.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like there's a huge middle ground this time of people who are like, I don't know.
So Jeff Baker, exactly. If you don't vote, keep quiet, right? I mean, so I was just talking to our editor, Erin, about this. She said she was too young to vote in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
But then in 2020, it was COVID, so she just really didn't get out to the ballot.
So this would be her first chance,
and
not what she wants to say.
Well, and so, okay, here we go. But she wasn't able to vote one election, didn't vote another election. I mean, are there people in that age range? I mean, younger people who feel that way, who feel like this is their time, like they need to vote in this election. I wonder if it's going to drive people away or if it's going to bring people in.
Can we talk about the age thing?
Sure.
I think that is what's really troubling for younger voters. They don't want to vote for someone that's like as old as their grandpa.
Mm-hmm. You're literally bringing in Grandpa Joe or Grandpa Don.
Which one do you want? I mean, I think, people have talked a lot about a possible age limit. I mean, is that something you guys would support? What do you think about that? I mean, these people are really old and they're making extremely important decisions on our behalf.
I wonder this too, Marguerite. Who will Donald Trump pick as his running mate? Great question. Grace says, isn't it a civil duty to vote? Yes, it is your civic duty. And this is
a right that people fought for.
Oh my gosh. I love Election Day because it is your chance to genuinely have a voice, have a say in who's going to lead our nation. Who's going to be the commander-in-chief?
My parents used to take me to vote every single year. They would wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and they would make it a whole event just to illustrate to me how important it is. And since then, I've always, felt that magnitude when going into the booth and writing down my vote. It's super important.
Kelly, good morning to you. Glad you're with us as always. Biden is too old, she says, and Trump's rhetoric is dangerous. Marguerite says, to your age point, minimum age to run for president is what, 35, I think?
Minimum age. There's no maximum, obviously.
Right, but what she's saying is there should be a maximum.
Yeah, and their ages right now are 77, Donald Trump, and Biden is 81.
And then Joyce says, just remember the president has a staff to help, but age limits are needed.
Yeah.
And then Elizabeth says, I think we need an age limit because the candidates are too old and not in touch with the people. Right. So how does that translate, or does it translate? And is this a job that anyone actually really wants?
That's what I was going to say. Who wants to do this? So at the same time, I'm asking for someone to step up and be that young person who we can all kind of rally behind, or most people can rally behind. But I wouldn't do it. I can't imagine who would want to.
At 37 years old, we've seen some young presidents. We saw Obama. We saw JFK.
Yeah.
Young, relatively speaking.
In the 40s.
But did they do enough to represent the people? Did they do enough to mobilize a younger vote? Do the older voters feel represented by these younger candidates, or do these older voters feel represented by the older candidates? I don't know. I just wonder.
Mary Ellen says we need a better representation of the people. And then someone said something funny. Michelle said, my mother's 84 and can't manage her own money, let alone the entire U.S.
Marguerite, Kelsey just retired.
Yeah, Jason Kelsey.
Megan says, let's take care of America first. Mary, when you see the pop into his age, it's hard to see our president like that. Yeah. Barb, though, says, I think the media should focus more on Nikki Biden, ignore Trump. You can't ignore him. The reality is he is a former president of the United States of America and
Always
is
will
now
be.
running again to become commander-in-chief for a second term. There's no ignoring it.
No.
It's just that simple.
And that's what Super Tuesday and things like these primaries leading up to it are all about, to gauge what will happen. And people are voting for him.
Carol says, I'm 81 and still manage my home and finances, I think she's trying to say here. Darnell, good morning to you. Thank you so much for weighing in here with some positivity. We appreciate that comment. Taylor and Ed are great on television. We appreciate you. Martha wondering, where is Pete Buttigieg?
He's transportation, correct?
He sure is.
He's making the trains move.
Appointed by the Biden administration. A lot of people really, frankly, didn't think that he was even cut out for that job. And he's caught a lot of flack with situations with the FAA and all sorts of problems within travel. But will he run for president again? He's already done it once. Obviously didn't get the nomination, but will he do it again? Sarah says, I love Pete.
You're just getting so close now. I mean, obviously we're in the election year. We're coming up on spring, but as we go through summer and stuff, we're going to start to see the signs on yards and stuff like that. We are going to have to keep talking about this. And I know a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, the election, but like, this is the beginning. Like,
well, can I ask that question to that point though, too? Is this something that you're actually interested in? This is a yes or no question.
Open to it.
And I'd love for you to weigh in here. Are you interested? Are you at all aware or
following the political race? And if you're not, which is totally okay, and I can completely understand, how long can we not be involved in this? I mean, the election's going to happen whether we pay attention to it or not. How do we change it so where it's what we want it to be?
Danielle says, well, what about all the charges against Trump?
That's part of it.
The reality is they're just charges, and
he's
innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
And so despite all of these things, there's really nothing barring him from being on the ballot.
Peter wants us in there. He's co-signing. He's Ed for president, Katie VP, Taylor for press secretary.
Martha again. Ed for, that's so funny. Katie for VP. Are you kidding me? Katie loves being in control, Peter.
Well, that's what the VP is sometimes.
She would be undermining me at every twist and turn. Are you kidding me?
You can lock her out of the Oval Office.
Get in touch with my chief of staff, Catherine.
Gladys would be the White House dog.
Oh, she'd be so sweet. Miss Gladys. I posted a picture of Miss Gladys just getting her hair cut on my Instagram. You can follow @DranchTV.
So stinking cute.
Oh, she's just the best. Okay, so let's go back to the conversation here. Martha says, never forget January 6th. This should be a driving message. Well, so, right, insurrection, the 14th Amendment. I mean, as you mentioned, the Supreme Court has already overturned that. He's able to be on the ballot, Donald Trump in Colorado. My mom, good morning. I hate politics, period. Dad thrives on it. He sure does. Darnell says, we need someone who will bring both Dems and Republicans together and stop fighting each other. Isn't that the truth? A uniting common factor where both parties can say, you know what, we're going to reach across the aisle and we're going to get this done.
You would like to see that, but it's tougher. It seems a lot easier said than done.
Shirley says, I'm very interested in politics. Kim says, yes, January 6th did it for me. Danielle, this country is so divided. And then Patty's ready to change the subject.
Do you want to talk about Shoshone quick?
Let's do it.
Okay. Obviously, yesterday, a lot of our conversation was focused on the incident that happened Sunday, that young woman I spoke to who tells me she was abducted from her driveway. Since then, yesterday, we also talked about the situation at Maryvale. A student says she was followed. And now Buffalo police arrested a man for sexually assaulting a woman in Shoshone Park. This happened on Sunday night. So many people concerned. I think it's just like, what is going on in our community?
And so there are all these little things. And I said little, obviously, just kind of not trying to minimize what's actually going on here, but there are things out there, all these little crumbs, and a lot of people are putting it together, making a loaf of bread.
Yeah.
But is it cooking? And that's the biggest question I think that police are trying to answer here.
We have a lot of victims. We have, I think, one arrest, and we have a lot of weird situations that really, frankly, can just be scary to hear about. Buffalo police really saying that this went well and the woman is safe and she was able to de-escalate the situation and they arrested this man, but they can't really say if it's connected to anything else, which is scary and concerning because, you know, could this still happen?
Okay, so Kim is kind of among those people who are trying to, you know, connect all the dots here, put it all together. Saying, I'm wondering if it's the same man, Shoshone, and the woman in the driveway in Cheektowaga who you spoke with.
But people are also connecting it to what happened on the 33, that woman that was in the Uber and wound up dying after, you know, climbing out the window.
Sue says, can't be too safe these days. Sadly, this world is unsafe. And then Joyce says, young women need to be on alert when out and about. And then Sarah, good morning to you. Glad you're with us as well. I think it's scary how many of these abductions are happening. We as women are clearly not safe anymore anywhere. What would make you feel safer?
I have no idea. I mean, a lot of these situations, it seems like the women have done everything they possibly could, right? Like I always make sure that I'm traveling with my friends and that we're sticking together and no one's, you know, going home alone. We have everyone's location so we can find out where everyone is. But I mean, if I walk to my apartment by myself and someone comes to get me or someone's following me or watching me, I don't know what to do. I don't know what would make me feel safer. I don't know if it's like increased patrols, if these people got arrested. Because I was saying earlier, like walking home the past 2 nights, I'm like, oh, okay, like feel a little weird, making sure I'm watching. Is anyone behind me? Who's walking?
So a couple of tips here from the crowd. Connie says women need to take self-defense classes. Grace says don't ever go alone. Sue says the buddy system at all if possible. Donna says pepper spray. Mary, I would never be out alone in a park. I wouldn't even get out of my car if someone was nearby. And then Patty agrees with you, Taylor, the buddy system.
I think we have to be overly cautious here. If you see something that's weird or it feels even a little bit weird, doesn't pass the sniff test, just like lean on that, you know?
You got to trust your instincts a little bit. Shirley, good morning. I always tell my grandkids that I wish they could have experienced the world we grew up in. We were so much safer and we're outside all the time. Yeah, and that's kind of what I was saying this morning. Are we hearing about it more often or is it happening more often? You know, because of the rise of social media compared to what happened in the 80s, 90s, you know, whenever it was, the 70s, 80s, 90s. Pat, how about don't walk alone at a park at 10 p.m.? Yeah, and Lori says you got to follow your gut. Adrian, I'm a walker, and I used to walk very early in the morning, and Delaware Park was one of my favorite places. Now when I walk early mornings, I'm concerned.
Yeah, I used to run in Delaware Park, and then there was that situation like right around September or so where near Hoyt Lake, a woman was assaulted, and after that, my mom was like, you're working out inside. Right. No more of that.
Yeah, you got to be really careful. Martha, kicking knee, groin, nose, solar plexus. Do you remember Miss Congeniality? Solar plexus, instep, knee, groin. You got to sing.
I've never seen that.
Stop.
I know. I'm bad at movies.
Oh my gosh. So it's Sandra Bullock, and I'm not trying to make light of the situation, but like it's always, you got to sing stuck in my head. She's like an FBI agent, and she's teaching people how to like do something and you fight back. And she goes, solar plexus, instep, nose, groin. It's just all the places that you got to punch.
I'll add it to the list, everyone. Don't come for me.
Patty, great movie. Mary, time to put all the parks on close after certain times. Well, but does that really help, though? I mean, like, it's not...
I don't know. I mean, lighting, cameras, but I think cameras are kind of an after the fact situation of what happened, but what can we do to secure these areas? You know,
to that point, I spoke to a superintendent in Starpoint probably about, it was almost a year ago at this point, talking about increased security at Starpoint schools. They wanted to, you know, their budget to, you know, basically pass so they could put more security in schools. And I said, okay, there are 1 million cameras in this school. Like, okay, so tell me about that. What good does that actually do? He said, well, cameras really don't do anything in the moment. What they do is provide help and information after the fact.
Right.
So, you know, yes, there are people who are watching these cameras within the Buffalo Police Department. That's their job. They work in the camera room. But are they able to catch something, you know, on that one camera that's all the way up in the corner, you know, in that moment?
It's how can we be proactive rather than reactive? But maybe if there are more cameras around and a couple people get caught because they were seen on camera, it will deter other, you know, creepos out there from being out there and attacking people.
I love what Lori has to say. Bring a dog with you to the park.
I have my little wiener dog has a big bark. Okay, so if I'm out there with Reese, you're done. Like, I feel so much more comfortable walking around with her.
I'm so surprised about how many people are actually afraid of Gladys because she's
so tiny.
Exactly, but she has a big shrill bark.
Yeah,
And
so
then
does
she
she.
lunges at you when
Yeah.
she's like, she's
not playing.
no, Mama's not afraid of anything. We got to get the show on the road. So glad that we could have a collective, civilized conversation about what we're thinking here about politics. We really appreciate hearing your voice.
Thanks for chiming in.
And we'll see you right back here tomorrow.
Bye, guys.